Hello everyone, Statname here. We continue analyzing some of the top players of different stakes, and today we have a guy named Bear Bucks who plays in a VPN network. He mostly plays from NL50 to NL200, and sometimes he makes shots at NL400 and NL600. His overall win rate is 13.1 big blinds per 100, and he has a very nice graph where both of his lines, both red and blue lines, are positive. So today, as usual, I prepared 3 hands with our hero. Okay, first hand, pocket 8s on the small blind. Button steals, hero 3-bets 5x, and villain calls. Okay, first we should go over our opponent. Here he is. He's a regular with a decent win rate of 7.4 big blinds per 100. And what's important for us here is that his aggression frequency is high on every street, around 40%. Which means that he is quite aggressive, most likely with both value hands and bluffs. So he bets and raises a lot on every street. Here's the board, king 3 for a rainbow. We have second pair, and hero decides to bet really small, a fifth of a pot, and villain calls. We hit our Gin card on the turn, which gives us the nuts. Technically the nuts on this board is pocket kings, but our opponent does not have pocket kings in his 3-bet calling range preflop, because he would most likely 4-bet all of his kings. So yeah, we can say with certainty that our hand is the best. Hero decides to bet small again. Now he bets a third of the pot, and why does he do that? Well, actually we don't really want to bet big on this board, because first of all it's a rainbow board, so no flush draws possible, and there are also not so many possible open-enders and gut shots in villain's range. So all in all, the board is quite dry, and there are not so many hands in his range we want to protect against. So we're not afraid of him beating us at the river. Plus, we do remember that our opponent is a quite aggressive guy. He likes to bet and raise on every street, as we saw earlier in his stats. So we give him an opportunity to raise both for value and as a bluff. Or maybe if he has some strong king-x combo, he can definitely get a little greedy and raise for value. And we would love that. But he calls again. We have another 4 on the river, and we continue our story. We bet small on every street, fifth of the pot on the flop, third on the turn, and now again a third on the river. Of course, this line looks quite weak, and for an aggressive opponent it's a great opportunity to raise as a bluff, and for value as well. So yeah, we give him this opportunity. He can even raise a hand like king-queen for value, and he shoves in the end. We of course call, and he shows a bluff with pocket deuces. Next hand we have ace-queen offsuit. Cutoff raises, we 3-bet on the big blind, and let's take a look at our opponent's stats. He is a regular, definitely. He plays 28-23, but if we take a look at his graph, we see that for over 28k hands, he actually loses money, with a 47% of won at showdown. Well, of course, maybe it's just a downswing for him that lasted for quite some time now, but also it is possible that he just doesn't really know the value of his hands. Or maybe he just bluffs too much. This is how you can get a low won at showdown stat. Queen 10-7 suited is the board, a lot of draws possible. We bet big, we want to get more value from his draws. And he calls. 5 on the turn, pretty innocuous card, doesn't complete anything pretty much. But we also realize that we can discount some strong hands from a villain's range, because overpairs, for example, he would 4-bet pre-flop. His sets and 2-pair combos he would at least sometimes raise on the flop. But he still does have a lot of top pair combos. He has still probably a lot of different draws. And we do remember that his won money at showdown is 47%. So there are some chances, some good chances, that he would overcall his draws. So yeah, we can get additional value this way. Well, basically this increases the value of our hand. So we just shove, he calls, and shows ace-5. So a pair and the nut flush draw. And the final hand for today, pocket tens on the big blind, button raises, small blind calls, and we squeeze. And notice the size of the squeeze is huge, 18 blinds. But why does he raise so much though? Okay, to figure this one out, we need to check out the opponents he is facing here. First, let's go over the guy on the button. It's a clear whale, it's a target player, of course, 85-32. And no wonder a huge lose rate with such stats. So it's one of the best opponents we can face at the table. And on the small blind, we have a, well, I'd say your standard regular 2017 8.4 3-bet. Yeah, standard regular with a decent win rate. So in a situation like this, we see a recreational who min raises and against whom we can clearly stack off with pocket tens, because he plays well, almost all of his hands, right? And then we have this guy on the small blind who most likely has a hand that is weaker than ours, because with everything stronger than pocket tens, I assume he would have 3-bet. Against a recreational player. So when we squeeze this big, we can still clearly stack off against a recreational on the button. So if he shoves, we just call, and we most likely make the small blind fold, well, at least most of his hands, right? And even if he calls in a situation like this, and we have to play a multi-way, he most likely calls with a hand that is weaker than pocket tens. And it's not ideal, but it's still totally fine for us. And also with this sizing, if recreational calls, which they do a lot, especially this guy, and small blind folds, it would be much easier for us to play our hand post-flop. And this is exactly what happened. Recreational calls, small blind folds. And we have a pot of 36 blinds with 32 blinds left behind. So even if we had like a second pair, let's say, so even if we hadn't hit this beautiful set and instead of 10 we had like, well, let's say 8 or deuce on this board, so we had a board like queen 8-7, we could have easily stack off with our hand with such an SPR. This line would have been really profitable against this guy, against how he plays, against his stack size. So yeah, all in all, this sizing makes our life easier post-flop. But here, of course, we don't want to shove right away. We bet small because we hit a really good hand. And yeah, we take down his stack eventually. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.